to White Ox 10. Sushant Singh Rajput, a young 34 years old Indian film actor, committed suicide at his home in Mumbai. The death has really shocked the conscience of many youngsters out there, and all of us are battling with this issue with gaping questions that Sushant's death has left in front of us. This episode we dedicate to the issue of well being, not just emotional and mental, but spiritual and intellectual as well. In the hectic and stressful lives that we live, somehow this conversation is left on the back burner and never takes priority. I hope that we take a minute to pause, reflect, and maybe rejuvenate ourselves with a new perspective before we begin to battle life once again. Before I get on with the session for the day, let me introduce the team to you. Today we'll have the update section brought to us by Pavitra. Pavitra Srinivasan is a research fellow at the India Foundation. She is based out of Chennai. We'll have the tete-a-tete section where we'll get an author and a healer, a practitioner of the art of living course with us in conversation to discuss various aspects of mental and spiritual well-being. Then we'll have Soumya with the review section. Soumya is also a research fellow at the India Foundation. And we have Hamsa, advocate and research fellow at the India Foundation, bringing to us the shout-out section. Over to you, Pavitra.
Thank you, Shubhrasta, for the opportunity to be able to talk to the youth and everybody else. Namaste, everyone. As we continue to follow the guidelines on physical distancing and other preventive measures during the pandemic, it's very important to understand the significance of human connection. Human-to-human connect is a fundamental need, a fundamental nature of all human beings. We all know that humans are social by their very nature. They crave for connection. They crave for a strong connection. And stronger the connection, the individual is more confident, more cheerful, happy. That improves and increases one's physical, emotional, mental health, and even their spiritual progress. I'm very happy to share with you few heartwarming stories of human kindness and human connection. Here is a story of a nurse who was heartily welcomed in her neighborhood after she treats COVID-19 patients for about a month at a hospital in Nagpur. Her neighbors shower flower petals on her and express their respect and admiration for her selfless service. Watch her response. Here is a heartbreaking video of a little girl who breaks into tears when she embraces her healthcare worker mother who visits her after a long time. When I saw the video, I thought that every tear of the little girl spoke about the distance she had to endure and the deprivation of tender love and care that she missed from her mother. Look at the warm embrace, the beautiful embrace. When she breaks down, it's as though all her pain is melting and all her heaviness is melting. To me, the little girl represents what the entire humanity and the world is feeling right now.
Annem niye ağlıyorsun? Annem niye ağlıyorsun?
Here is a picture of Anthony Coven from Stratford, England, who has developed a see-through shower curtain that is fitted with long safety sleeves so that he can hug his grandmother without worrying about the virus infection. Very creative, isn't it? In many places, the elderly live alone, away from their family and friends. Here is another story of kindness shown by a group of police who greet this gentleman from Haryana, Sri Karanpuri, on his birthday. They gift him with a hat and a cake. They surprise him, and he tells them, "Thank you for making my day," with tears of joy. Whenever there is separation, there is a feeling of isolation, a feeling of anxiety, insecurity, and fear. Even in our Itihasas, like the Ramayana, when Sri Rama is in despair, is emaciated due to the abduction of his beloved wife Sita, it is Lakshmana, his younger brother, who steps forward, comforts his older brother, and gives him the energy and enthusiasm to recover Sita and fulfill their objectives. Likewise, when Mother Sita is grief-stricken due to her separation from her husband, she asks Hanuman, "Does Sri Rama remember me? Has he ceased to love me because I'm so far away? Will he come to rescue me?" It's Sri Hanuman's words of solace and assurance that Sri Rama will spare no efforts in reuniting with Mother Sita that brings life back within her. Therefore, it is very important to address the issues of sadness, of depression, or frustration, as much as making attempt to be happy and joyful.
Thank you, Pavitra. That was indeed a very interesting amalgamation of videos and images, and you managed to tell a story of hope and human connect in these dark times. Thank you for that section. Now we move on to the tete-a-tete section. Today in Y Talks, we have an author and founder of Health Collective with us. Amrita has penned 2 books, Real Stories of Dealing with Depression, which was published last year. And this year she has come up with a new book, Young Mental Health. Welcome, Amrita. Welcome to Y Talks.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Amrita, before we move forward in the discussion, could you tell us, for the benefit of the viewers, why did you feel to write and chronicle stories of depression that youngsters went through?
I started out, in fact, as a reporter several years ago. I was at a news channel where I became the health editor. And as I was covering health, we realized that mental health is something that's really not covered as well as it should be by the mainstream media. And a few years ago, in fact, 4 years ago, this July, I set up the Health Collective as a website for us to look for and share listings of where people can get help, but also start sharing stories from an India lens with sort of Indian narrative in place. Because I think for a long time, we've been used to hearing stories or getting all of the help and advice we can get, either from an American point of view or from sort of different stories that are more international. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at that time, I thought the lack was that we don't have the stories and the conversations we need to be having in India today.
Amrita, the kind of stressful lives that youngsters like us are dealing with across age groups, starting from somebody who is a teenager to somebody in their late 50s. I think that entire range, we are just too stressed out with our own lives, whether it's urban or it's urban or even rural audiences for that matter. So, in your interactions with youngsters, do you feel that this kind of urban-rural divide plays a role, or is it more of an urban phenomena?
Oh, that's a really good question. I do have to take a step back and say, I think just just because of my own constraints in terms of reporting, I feel we haven't done enough justice to rural India. we haven't done enough justice to, we've done some reporting from tier 2 cities in India, but the scope of the problem is much more. So I will answer that from the point of view of someone who's interviewed, psychiatrists and psychologists who work in these areas. And they feel that, unlike what you would think, that mental illness actually disproportionately affects those of us who are less privileged, and those of us across. It doesn't matter if you're in a city or you're in a village or you're in a tier 1 city or a tier 2 city. The point is, globally, they say 1 in 4 people will have a mental health issue at some point in their life. I think in India, we've had a long struggle to come to a place where we can actually have an open conversation about some of these things because of stigma, because of internalizing shame at some level. We're only now starting to, in the last few years, really find that vocabulary. And again, we did some interviews to understand what are people actually saying, because, you and I can say depression, anxiety, we know what we're talking about, but people are saying things like pareshan, they're talking about stress, they're talking about dukh. When they're talking about dukh, they don't mean just grief. They mean, many different things that come in. And I think the challenge and opportunity for those of us who are interested in this space is to document and chronicle all of those colloquialisms so that the message can reach in the language that people are speaking.
Right, Amrita, it's very interesting that you mentioned that, because I wanted to ask you about the fact that when one actually is going through these periods of anxiety, angst, and depression, sometimes it's very difficult to even articulate what you're feeling. And then there is this whole conversation about talk, don't keep it inside you. But the person who is going through it might not want to talk about it, might just want to be in their own zone. So according to the stories that you've covered, especially in your first book, what is that one message that you have for youngsters out there? Somebody who is suffering, and also somebody whose friends or family might be suffering and they don't know yet.
That's a really good question. And I think that it deserves more attention than we often give to it. And I'll tell you where this is coming from. I think from some of the interviews we've seen, there are 2 or 3 ways people tend to react. So right now, if I tell you something very personal or something very difficult I'm going through, even with the best intentions, you might tell me, no, don't talk like that, or don't feel like that. And you're trying to do the right thing. But what's coming to me is that, she doesn't want me to trouble her with this. Or, without meaning to, we dismiss what somebody else is going through. I think one bigger picture issue is that the way we use, again, this is sort of the flip side of having conversations where we talk about anxiety, depression so easily. These words mean many different things. There's a difference between saying I'm feeling depressed, which is I'm PMSing, I'm feeling low, I'm depressed, and having depression as a clinical disorder, So when I'm somebody who confuses the two, I think, I have gotten over my depression so easily, why can't that person just shake it off? And again, I minimize and negate what that person is going through. And somehow invalidate that experience. So what we've done in that first book, in fact, we have 9 first-person stories, including one which is somebody who has depression, who was a caregiver. And that was pointed out that often we don't talk about what a caregiver is going through. Often we don't talk about, we have a section on motherhood, actually, 2 people with postpartum depression, and someone did a reported piece on adoptive parents, because they, you don't think that somebody who's adopted a child might also have depression because we don't have the labeling for it, So the number one message that came out, maybe there are 2 messages. One is that we all need to learn how to equip ourselves to listen more empathetically. So listen with empathy without dismissing what someone else is going through, and learn that resources and help are available. Now, I can't drag somebody to go and get help, but I can be the friend who says, look, do you want me to set up an appointment for you? Can I reach out, to a helpline for you? And 2, the message also needs to be that hope is, there is hope. People shouldn't feel like they're alone going through this, because chances are somebody else has gone through something very similar. And that's where I found the first person stories the most powerful, actually.
Amrita, I really thank you for this great conversation, and also the honesty with which you've always maintained that I have merely chronicled stories and I'm merely trying to curate what I've learned. And in the next segment, Amrita, we actually have somebody from Art of Living. He actually takes up classes for youngsters, has designed workshops for them, and is taking up classes to make them see how and on what kind of coping mechanisms can be put through. Thank you for this conversation. Thanks for coming. In conversation today, we also have Mr. Dinesh Ghorke with us. Dinesh ji has been associated with the Art of Living for the past 25 years and has had various courses spread across 36 countries. Mr. Dinesh has been actually credited with starting youth-centric programs at the Art of Living. He has had a very robust corporate profile, passed out from IIT Bombay. So we all can associate with the stress and the struggles that we all have in our lives, and how somebody like Dinesh ji is there to sort of lend a helping hand for our emotional and mental well-being. Welcome, Dinesh ji, to the show.
Thank you, Shubrasta ji.
In your experience as a healer and as somebody who was really invested in the spiritual and mental well-being, catering to the youngsters, what is that one message that you want to give to the youngsters out there who live extremely busy but very stressful lives?
True. Life has become very busy and stressful. We sometimes joke that stress is giving even God a competition by being everywhere, by being all encompassing. So as young people, we have all the energy and the enthusiasm. We are free of many of the prejudices that assail the older generation, right? But there is also a lot of confusion, what to do with our lives. And when the emotional and the mental turmoil happens, we don't know who to reach out to, or we don't know how to get back to ourselves, the source of all the inspiration and the joy, the love that is there within us. And that is where I feel that if young people, or this sort of an education, a spiritual education, or human values, this is put into our schools and colleges, then young people, they have a tool, to get back to their self. They are empowered to handle the emotional challenges or the stuff that happens in everybody's lives, which is what happened to me when I learned how to meditate and use the breathing techniques. I felt that, yes, this knowledge will be so much more helpful. I had just completed the program. This is way back in 94, 95. And towards the last days of the course, there was a suicide that happened in IIT Mumbai. This one guy, he committed suicide, tried to commit suicide by drinking something. He puked and he drowned in his own vomit. It was sad. And it shook the whole campus, as it happens. And that's where I felt very strongly that this knowledge would, if that person had something like this, they would not have taken a drastic step like suicide. Though I was a very happy-go-lucky person, and it helped me tremendously to reach my life goals, whether it was academic or social. But I also felt that someone who is seeking this help can greatly benefit by learning meditation and by learning some breathing techniques which are part of our heritage as being an Indian or being human, so to speak.
Dinesh ji, in a day and age when even articulation about mental health issues, especially people who are going through it, is very difficult. Sometimes they don't know what to talk about and in what terms to articulate their feelings or what they're going through. How is it that people like you, courses that you offer, reach out to these youngsters? How do you bridge that gap between the non-articulated and the solutions that you have?
Okay, let me say that with an example, with the incidents that happened when I was in IIT Kanpur, and the dean there, which also happened elsewhere, in some other places. They said that on campus we have a psychologist or a counselor, but the young people hesitate to go to the psychologist. Why? Because their friends will say, "Oh, he's going to the shrink. Iska dimag satak gaya, ye iske paas ja raha hai, psychologist ke paas ja raha hai." So that little stigma is attached to the psychologist, psychiatrist. And that is where, let's say, an out of living person, he or she could be a young person. The youngsters don't mind reaching out to them because they are at the same age group. And they have also gone through life's challenges, but handled them through some wisdom or some techniques. And it is easier for that peer-to-peer counseling to happen. Yes, I agree what you said. Many a times what we are going through in our lives, we can't share with our parents, especially at that age. Sometimes we can't even share it with our best friends, the nearest and dearest friends. We need somebody who is slightly removed from that inner circle, at the same time who they can trust and who has the wisdom to guide them out of that state of blues or low feeling, which should not plummet into depression or suicidal tendencies. So this peer-to-peer counseling from someone who can listen to somebody, listen to these people non-judgmentally, and can help out. that works best.
Dineshji, with a lot of conversation around wellness, I'm sure Art of Living courses are very sought after courses, and there are many youngsters who are associated and want to associate with the courses. Can you please enumerate for our viewers a couple of courses that they should join or that would be beneficial for them in the long run?
So we do many programs on campus, which are offered either as part of the curriculum, like it is in, let's say, 48 universities in the US. Many places in India have it. Sometimes it is as student initiatives, like in IITs, IIMs, or AIMS. They are happening as student initiatives. They take it up and say, this is something good for us, not just academically, but thereafter in our lives. So they take it up. So one is the Yes Plus program, which is Youth Empowerment and Skills Workshop. It also goes by the name of Meditation and Breath Workshop, or the Happiness Program. And along with that, we also have the Advanced Meditation Program, 3-4 days of just going in deeper into oneself. And you come out such a strong personality. So these are the initial fundamental programs that we have. Along with this, we have many programs on yoga if people are inclined towards that. Or we have the Yogic Fitness Workshop, which is about fitness, which includes the 3 aspects of fitness: diet and nutrition, then exercise, and rest, which is sleep and meditation. Sometimes because of the very crazy sleep schedules, the entire circadian rhythm goes out for a toss. And that could also lead to this feeling of low and blues coming up. And sometimes it can be emotional, what is happening around us. A breakup can really pull somebody down. It may not be seen on the face or outside. For the person around, people around us, they may not be able to gauge what is happening in this person's mind. Like when I was conducting the Art of Living program in Stanford, the guys, they said, we have here something called the Stanford Duck Syndrome. I said, what is that? I said, have you seen a duck smoothly gliding on water? I said, yeah. But underneath the water, what is happening? It's flapping away. So on the surface, it may seem all okay. But inside, there is a lot of turmoil, emotional or mental or intellectual. And that needs to be addressed. And you rightly said, the narrative in the social circles now is that, yes, you can talk about anxiety or stress, right from Princess Diana to the Swedish Prime Minister, Bondevik, or Oprah is talking about it, Ellen DeGeneres is talking about, Lady Gaga. They have made it okay for people to open up and share that, yes, I'm feeling low, or I was feeling depressed, Deepika Padukone. And all you have to do is create that sort of a sangha, that sort of a company around you who you can reach out to. One very quick tip I can give is, usually when somebody is depressed, what do they want to do? They want to hear more depressive songs. All the sad songs they want to hear, or again, meet people who are at the same wavelength. So I would say on your phone book, you keep maybe a playlist which is happy songs, just fun songs. So when you're feeling a little low, all right, you don't want to reach out to anyone, just put on a few songs. That will change the mood a little bit. And then you can take further steps. Or you can have on your speed dial 1 or 2 friends who are non-judgmental, who can hear you out anytime, who you can reach out to. Yeah? Like you said, it could be an Art of Living teacher, somebody you can trust, respect, or it could be just a friend of yours, younger, older, who can hear you out. So things like that can be very beneficial.
Thank you, Dineshji. Thank you for this conversation. And I hope that the viewers of the show check out the various courses that Art of Living offers and do enroll yourself in some course or the other. It's really important to take care of our emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, because only then the outer world and the public personas that we all have would benefit not just us, but society at large. Namaste.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Also, what helps is you take up learning something. It could be a guitar, it could be singing songs, it could be learning a new language, or taking up a bigger task than yourself, like what Shubhrasta ji is doing, something for the nation, for the country. Then what happens? You always have this thing, acha theek hai, main nahi rahunga to nahi, all this work, I need to reach out to people, I need to help them, that will suffer. That feeling inside will be there, that will push you forward instead of taking oneself back. So having a bigger goal for our country or for the planet, for people around us, or learning something, this can also help people to not get sucked into that low energy phase, but from that sadness you can just bounce back and rise up.
Thank you, Dineshji.
Thank you so much, Shubrasta ji.
Now we move on to the review section. Over to you, Soumya.
Hello everyone. The human mind has to be one of the most fascinating thing in all of human history. This concept, if I may say so, has interested every sector of life and every discipline of study. So much so that even the first international relations theory that I was taught in college was centered around human mind. But what's surprising is that there is very little we understand it, and probably thus limiting the space for people to talk about it. Today, I want to share with you a basket of resources that make for a very genuine, honest, and unique attempt in addressing mental health. The first is podcast, The Hilarious World of Depression. This podcast started in 2016 and continues to be hosted by a veteran humorist and public radio host, John Moe. In conversation are top comedians who have dealt with depression, and the tonality of the episodes remain frank, funny, and moving. The idea is not to be preachy, but to give a chance to relate while not feeling alone. Now, for all the cinephiles out there, their latest episode discusses movies that have gotten depression right. I hope you give them a check. Coming to the second one, Hyperbole and a Half, Unfortunate Situations, Flawed Coping Mechanisms, Mayhem, and Other Things That Happen. In this book, Ellie uses simple comic-style narration and animated illustrations to tell stories from her childhood and other people's stories about thoughts, depression, and other such issues that we are too scared to talk out loud. You can probably finish the book in a few hours. It is smart, hilarious, and relatable. And I guess some of you will even recognize bits of it from memes which are very popular over social media. The last one is called The Mind Explained. It's a TV series available on Netflix. This 2019 documentary kind of a web series is narrated by Emma Stone, who you might recall from Birdman and La La Land. It has only 5 episodes and about 20 minutes each, exploring topics like memories, dreams, anxieties, mindfulness, and psychedelics. Once again, instead of being heavy or intimidating, it uses simple animations, cartoons, and interviews to explain. Now, a word of caution. These are not resources that you turn to only when you're not in the highest of spirits. It is important that the sensitivities of mental health become common knowledge and that they are normalized. Some say we live in times where our generation wants too much too soon, be it money, recognition, power, or physique. Irrespective of whether it is true or not, I hope we can all prioritize one thing that is definitely overworked and underappreciated across generations: our mental health. Thank you.
Thank you, Soumya, for that much needed dose of infotainment. I'm sure the suggestions of the podcast, the book, and the documentary will take us a long way in putting together our thoughts in a logical format. Now we move on to the shout out section. Over to you, Hamsa.
Hello everyone. Today we have with us Richa Singh, a young entrepreneur from Bangalore, who is also an alumnus of the IIT Guwahati. Hi Richa, and welcome to White Talks. Richa was moved by the suicidal death of a dear friend in college, after which she decided to begin a startup called the Your Dost, which provides emotional and psychological support to all those in need. Richa has leveraged technology to create a Your Dost website to easily and anonymously connect to those in need. Her company, Your Dost, has so far counseled and assisted more than 10 lakh individuals through their 1,000+ strong team of mental health experts, ranging from psychologists, counselors, to career coaches to life coaches. Let's see what Richa has to say about her initiative, Your Dost.
Hi, I'm Richa. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Your Dose. In this digital era, we have so many ways to connect, but we feel lonely more than ever before. I wanted to make sure that we are connecting, not just to like and upvote, but to really share our emotions and our feelings. With that belief, we started out Your Dose, which is an emotional wellness platform where regular people like you and me could seek support and guidance anonymously 24/7 from professionals who are trained psychologists, counselors, career coaches, life coaches, and can have one-on-one session with them, which could be a video session, a telephonic, chat, or even a face-to-face counseling session. What started as a passion for two people is now a team of more than 900 plus experts across the country. In just less than 5 years, we have done over 10 lakh counseling sessions. Guys, I just want you all to remember that we're all humans, and humans are vulnerable, especially in this testing and these unprecedented times where the world is going through a lot of anxiety. I want to encourage you all and tell you that it's okay to seek support. Seeking support is not a sign of weakness. Seek support because you are strong.
Every one of us, Homo sapiens, goes through emotional and psychological lows at some or the other point in our lifetime. A few come out of it through their own individual will and efforts, and a few others may need external help and counseling. There are many initiatives, companies, and even NGOs addressing and catering to mental health concerns from across the nation. We request you to seek help without hesitation when you need it. Like Richa says, seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength, because it shows you don't want to succumb to the problem, but fight it. Congratulations, Richa, on your thoughtful initiative. I'm sure you've impacted many lives and maybe even saved a few. Good luck and God bless you with your endeavor.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today. Friends, we need to realize mental health is as important as physical health, and sometimes maybe even more. Today's shout out is for all the mental health experts, counselors, psychologists, and coaches from across the nation, assisting and guiding us through challenging and testing times.
Thank you, Hamsa. Thank you for bringing out that amazing initiative in front of us, and literally a huge shout out to the youngsters out there. This brings us to an end of this session. I hope you enjoyed it. I also hope and appeal that the youngsters who are watching this show should understand that there are people out there, organizations out there, and literally ears out there who can give them a very patient hearing on what they are going through. So please do not keep things bottled up inside you. Reach out to platforms of your choice, reach out to individuals of your choice, and take care of yourselves. It's really important that we are fit, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually, to be able to contribute our bit towards whatever tasks and works that we are taking up. Please subscribe to our channel, keep watching us, keep writing to us, and keep in touch. Take care.